Today's book review is going to be on BiblioTECH by John Palfrey, and it really summarizes the subtitle of this, which is Why Libraries Matter More Than Ever in the Age of Google. Let's dig into the book. So BiblioTECH is really about the issues that are going to face libraries today. Everything from the fact, as we've explored in the library book, that they're becoming a little bit more community centers than just library, to the digital transition that they are facing, that they are continuing to deal with, where people are checking out lots of digital books, where it actually licensing, this is one of the topics they address in there. Licensing of digital books is actually hard because publishers are saying, no, we won't license them to you, or we're allowing you to use them a little bit, whereas purchasing a book, like they can purchase the copy of BiblioTECH and then do whatever they want with it, and the book company can't say anything about it. It's called first sale doctrine, at least in the US, where I can purchase a book and I can do whatever I want with it after, and the author, nobody can say anything about it. So that's another thing, whereas again, with a digital copy, they can say, oh no, you can only lend it out so many times, then you have to purchase another license for it. So that is it more sustainable? I'm not sure if it's more sustainable for publishers or for authors, but it's harder for libraries because they don't own it. And they also can't migrate that, new formats. So say Kobo was what they had, and then they want to move over to Kindle formats or anything like that. They can't move them over because the license says they can't. They can't resell them after to recoup some value, to get some more value out of them. They just can't. And actually, lots of my books in my personal library come from library sales where they're selling. I think I have one right here. Yep. All right. So usually a $2 book, but they had a book blitz, and so they sold this one for 50 cents. And I didn't have 50 cents, so they just gave it to me because I'm there all the time. It's like, bring me 50 cents some other time. But I have lots of books that I picked up that are interesting that I wouldn't have picked up otherwise because I saw them on their sale rack. And with a digital copy, they can't do that, right? All of the books in my library over to the side here, all the books around me that I own, can go to my children if they want, but none of my digital ones can. They are all, locked up to me only. So my kids are going to have to keep using my Amazon account or my iTunes account or anything like that to continue to have them. That's one of the things that libraries are facing. One of the big things that librarians do for us is they help us find sources that are credible. And let's grab a quote from the book. The quote says, unlike for-profit companies, for instance, librarians can help patrons sort credible from less credible information. In a world in which anyone can be a pamphleteer and a publisher, providing the service is central to a librarian's comparative advantage. We actually saw this in The Death of Expertise, where simply by searching, by finding any resource, people suddenly think that they are an expert on something, and that they continue to find an overwhelming myriad of facts, air quotes, that support their position, so they just go with it, and you can't argue with them anymore because they just keep spouting off the next fact that they came up with, or, not even real fact. They also explored simply by the fact of just searching. You don't have to read stuff. You say you're educated about a topic when you're not. So this is also the Dunning-Kruger effect, where the less we know, the more we think we know. It even reminded me of my first psychology paper in college, and I came into the third year of a program automatically because that's just how it worked out for weird reasons. And I didn't know what a good academic source was. So all my citations in my first paper were People Magazine and stuff like that. And I just didn't know. And through a stern talking to and a bad mark and going to the librarian, I figured out and did a very stellar second paper. But that's something that librarians can do for us, help us find sources that matter, that are authoritative, that are true, or as close to true as we know, and they can help us wade through that. Whereas online, there's no, I guess you just trust me, you watch me and you trust me. That's all you got here. You don't know what my credentials are. You can't know. I can tell you whatever, and it'd be hard to research it even. You find some stuff, but a lot of stuff would be hard. So librarians help you do that, help you find credible sources for your material, find you sources that are truthful, and can help lead you to any direction of truth. And that's not something that Amazon, even the Amazon also bots, okay, great, we can find those, but they can be bought. Lots of times they're testing out where the also bots are actually ads, stuff like that, for people that had money to purchase those spots. Another big benefit to libraries is that they allow serendipity. Now, I actually haven't found this at libraries, but I have found it at bookstores, where I walk in and I just wander around and say, hey, here's a cool book, one, The Hidden Girls of Kabul, which is about girls that are told to act like boys and kind of treated like boys their whole life until they suddenly can't deny that they're girls. That was just one. I was walking down, I was like, ooh, that looks interesting. What is that about? And that looks like an interesting book. I have found that many times, but only because I have the means to purchase books like that, right? And my personal library budget is bigger than my kids' school entire budget. For like everything, for all their entire library book, like I dwarf that, what I spend on myself. So that's a privilege I have. Now, I get it. Like I don't look through the bookshelves like they're suggesting you do, where you just walk around. Oh, here's an interesting thing. But I do that at bookstores, so I get the idea. It just, for me, the library hasn't been that. I know for people that don't have the finances to purchase a couple $1,000s of books in a year or anything like that, they can walk through and be like, oh, that looks interesting. That cover caught me, so I read it. And that's something maybe I should do more of that with the library as well, instead of always defaulting to purchasing. Which, I've tried that out. I just tried Boys and Sex. I'm starting. Tough book so far. Content is tough. It's good content. I'm not saying the book is bad in any means, but it's tough content. It's talking about pornography right now. So that's a book I wanted to try first and see, and I wasn't sure if I would buy it. I think now it's a buy. But I have it in my library long term, and also her other book, Girls and Sex, will be another one. But I tried it out first, and that's how I usually use it. I say, oh, there's a book. Does the library have it? Sweet, I'll put it on hold. Whereas in the bookstore, I'm generally browsing to see if there's interesting stuff. So, but that can again flip for other people. They're going to go to the library to browse for interesting stuff and maybe buy the few things that they really want to go over multiple times. And that's hard. Like I said, with Amazon already, like the also bots is part of that, but it's also a very narrow genre, right? If I'm looking at, a leadership book, we just got Dare to Lead in here from Brene Brown. What's up?
Daddy, can I have something to eat?
I'm coming up in a bit. Okay, I'm recording right now. So where was I? Brene Brown. We just got that, right? But if I'm looking on the library, I'll find other books in that same genre. It's easy to walk down, but if I'm looking on the Amazon, so at the library, it's easy to walk to other places. On Amazon, like it's a lot harder. Like you're looking at people also bought, and it's going to be a fairly narrow list of books, in a similar genre. Whereas you're like, I'm one shelf over and I'm on a different genre. And you say, yes, but Amazon has those other books in other genres, but you have to actually look for them, not just walk down an aisle on the way. Ooh, what's that? And Words Have a Past is another book that I just walked down and said, I knew I already wanted to read about Indigenous issues and colonial issues. And as I walked down, I was like, Words Have a Past, Indigenous. Oh, what's that? And I looked at it and I grabbed it off the shelf. I wasn't planning to get a book at the library in the next town over. They're all big one communal library, really. But I saw it and I said, sweet. And I checked it out at the other library. So that was that's how I saw serendipity there. And you don't get that on Amazon as much. And I agree with that. Like you don't get it on Amazon as much. So that's another useful function that libraries have for society, for readers. Paul Free ends his book with 10 steps. It's on page 226 in the hard copy version that need to be taken to ensure the relevance of libraries in the future. I'm happy to say that one of them, at least, my library does. So we are the FVRL libraries, Fraser Valley Regional Libraries. That means like Chilliwack has a library, Abbotsford has one, and we're all part, Hope and a bunch of other locations. They're all part of the same library system. So my local library doesn't have to have every book. The library system as a whole needs to have it. Right, and so I'll look at a book, I'll put a hold on it. Maybe it comes from 4 towns away sometimes, and then I get a copy of the book, and it goes back into the system and goes off somewhere else. And that's all really good. That's one of the things. Now, one of the other things he says we need to do is finance libraries to make the digital transition. Right? That's the other thing in digital. Libraries have to amass like all these digital archives and then store them. And there's such thing as bit rot, where I have CDs sitting over here and some of them are just dead. They're just not existent anymore. Your hard drives just die eventually. There's nothing you can do about it. So bit rot happens and they just lose the data. And then also format changes, again, which are not allowed by licensing. So like how are you going to open your old Lotus 123 document? And that's something that libraries have to deal with and that we need to fund them to deal with, much like Carnegie did to fund libraries. And that's something that we, like looking around, I actually don't remember going to the library as a kid, but looking around at people, like, are they nostalgic for the library or are they, libraries are a good thing, but do they actually use it? Like lots of adults don't read. So do they actually go use the library for their personal enjoyment? And if they don't go use the library for their personal enjoyment, like, are they going to be willing to put their tax dollars, make other sacrifices and other programs to fund the library? I don't know. I have a hard time seeing that happening. So that's it. Yeah. And if you want to know if you should read BiblioTECH by John Palfrey, I would say if you are a reader, if you're interested in libraries, how we can help them and how they can move forward into, the future, how they can stay relevant, then yeah, it's a good book. If that doesn't sound like your jam, then probably not. Anyway, thanks for watching my review of BiblioTECH. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you loved it, then you can subscribe below, but don't hit the bell like everyone else says. I don't want you to hit the bell. I want you to read, hang out with your kids, stuff like that, do something else, and get a little more out of stuff than just waiting for some video from me, because you have better things to do, actually. Have a good day.